You're listening to the Coop Homeschool Podcast.
This is your podcast for community, humility, and joyful fun in homeschooling. Hi, I'm Mandy.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is
The Coop.
Today, we have our favorite people here with us, and it's our spouses. Woo!
Woohoo!
We're so excited that they're here. We have Marcus, who's my spouse, and we have
Jacob, who's mine.
So we wanted to bring them on here because, as we've said in the past, our spouses are a big part of homeschooling life in our family, and they're the reason why we can do it, really. Mm-hmm. So we want to start off by asking them some questions and be as candid as you can. And Marcus, let's start with you. What excites you about homeschooling?
I think one of the things that excites me the most about homeschooling is that it's us doing the teaching, and that we're in complete control of their education. We get to decide the content, the delivery, and we can make changes along the way if there's something we can improve upon, or we don't like the way we're doing one thing, that we can change things along the way, and we really only have to answer to ourselves. So that's the thing that I love the most about it, that we are their teachers.
Awesome. Jake, what do you think about homeschooling?
I mean, I agree with Marcus a lot. I think the flexibility of homeschooling for me is the biggest benefit. The ability to cater the education specifically to the child, I think, is really important. And so for me, I would say definitely the flexibility that we have to educate our children the way that makes the most sense for them to, absorb the different knowledge and topics that we're talking about.
I love that. You've inspired me to do some stretches. So, in addition to flexibility, I know you guys love a lot of other things about homeschooling. And part of it is you guys get to be involved a little bit. So, do either of you guys want to talk about your involvement in some way? Jake?
Yeah. I think my lady here is the researcher, right? So she really leads me in the research, making sure that all of the decisions that we're making are grounded in research and being confirmed through different communities and those types of things. But my role, I think, mostly is a supportive role in a lot of different ways. But also we have different strengths and weaknesses that play off of each other a lot. Yeah. So a lot of times we see where it might make sense for me to maybe insert myself a little bit more into a daily topic, or a lot of times I don't need to do anything like that, because that's really not how we homeschool anyways.
Right. It depends on what we're studying. If we're studying sciences, especially animal sciences, it's all him. And then literature, if we get into fantasy genres, that's where he's like, please let me be involved, and so it's fun to do it together. But for the most part, yeah, he's just super supportive of the decisions I make, and we communicate about it and work together on deciding what we think the best route for each school year is.
Yeah, and I hear a lot about how you watch a lot of documentaries with your kids, and I think that's super cool. And it's interesting that the information that I get to hear from your daughter specifically, I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, I watch a lot of documentaries with my dad. It's true. So I think that's super cool that you do that. And Marcus, what about you?
I mean, I completely disagree with what they're
everything.
It's. I think my role is going to be an evolving role over time. Right now, I mean, the last, year and a half, I've kind of grown into my role being the read aloud role, which honestly wasn't intentional. I think you had recommended that you were going through Roald Dahl stuff, and recommended that I read a couple of them to them, and that led to Indian in the Cupboard and several other stuff, Harry Potter, of course.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's just something that I've loved doing, and
you didn't even know you loved doing that.
No,
yeah.
I never. Yeah, again, it wasn't intentional. So that's been great. I love that. The more I have read and listened to the research and advice on read aloud, it seems like that's something that kind of lifelong is a good thing to do, not just when they're little. You usually think of it as when they're little.
We just started listening to my favorite podcast, besides our own. I did fall asleep listening to our own last night, but
not good, huh?
But no, the Read Aloud Revival podcast, I love that, and he just started listening to that too. So now I know we're really on the same page with the Read Aloud.
Yeah, that's fun because it's fun hearing confirmation of what I kind of fell into by accident, and hearing, okay, it's good encouragement. This is beneficial. It's not just a fun thing, but it's a good thing for them and for our family. And I think as they get older, I mean, it's hard to predict, but I'm guessing my role will evolve since, I have specialty degrees in history and theology, so I'll probably take over those subjects as they get a little older.
I'm totally hoping for that, and I love the relief it gives me, when some of those subjects are shared, and then I can bask in it too.
You gonna be one of my students?
I have a lot to learn. I don't know I don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yes. So as moms, we spend a lot of time worrying about failing our children. That was episode 1 of our podcast, was being overwhelmed with homeschooling sometimes, and just wondering if we're always making the right decisions, going down the right paths for their future, setting them up for what they want to pursue. Do you guys feel like you ever worry for them, choosing homeschool for them at this age or in the future for them?
Yeah, well, not as much whether or not to homeschool. Mm-hmm. I'm not concerned about that. It's kind of funny. Mandy was really the one that was the main driver in us doing homeschooling, because she knew pretty much since maybe even before we were married, or early on in our marriage, that she wanted to homeschool. She never had to convince me of it. I was thrilled. But anyhow, so I'm not concerned about that of how long are we going to be homeschooling. But yeah, absolutely, there are concerns just as a parent in general, obviously, with the kids. But you're concerned that since we're in control, we're deciding the content and the method. Are we covering everything? At this age, we don't have to worry quite as much about that, but as they get older, that'll be a concern to make sure we're hitting all those things to make them, not just to check the box or to teach to the test so they'll perform well on standardized testing. I don't care about that. But so they're well-rounded individuals.
Yes.
I have those concerns, but we're continuing to grow into it, so we'll continue to learn as we go.
And we keep seeing the fruit of it too.
Yeah.
There'll be weeks that go by that we've never opened a single, workbook or lesson, because we're just living life and experiencing life. And then I feel the conviction, and you feel the conviction too, like, wait, maybe we should actually get back to some book work and actually...
When's the last time we opened a math book?
Yeah,
right.
I hear that one a few times.
That's the question I ask.
It's always math,
sometimes.
For me too. That's funny.
But for me, I don't really have concerns myself. I was in the public school system up until all the way through junior high, and then in high school until graduation, I was homeschooled through various different organizations and those types of things. So I've been on both sides of the fences. I've seen results from both. I think students can be successful in any educational system that they're in. Again, going back to what I was saying, why I love homeschooling, if you're catering it to the child itself. Mm-hmm. So I think homeschooling gives me a great opportunity to set my kids up for success, because I know them better than anybody else. I know how they learn. I know how they process. So I think that, especially with my partner, we'll be we'll be setting them up very nicely.
Yeah, I think some of the concerns I always hear about is college, right? And so I know other people in our lives, the dads are most concerned about what they would do after they graduate high school. And it's just because that information is not known out there. They don't know that they could start community college even, when they're 16. They could be going to, Jesse, when did you start going to, when did you start taking community college
I was
classes?
14, ninth grade, yeah.
Yeah. So, but people don't know the options, and so
it can be concerning.
Yeah.
I have dozens of friends that I grew up with that we homeschooled together who have gone to college, that have very successful careers, great members of society. I have no concerns with that sort of issue whatsoever.
That's great. And also too, you also have more freedom to pursue your interests. So whether it's chef school or getting your pilot's license or going to college or whatever.
Exactly.
You've had time to explore that, get the internships, and have the freedom to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In fact, you can really lean into your strength as a student. Looking at it from my children's perspective, once they get older into high school and they do start to really think intentionally about their future, we can encourage them again to really lean into their strengths, and then they'll just excel that much more.
That's awesome. So do we have any memorable moments we want to share? Anything specific you guys have experienced, or anything you want the homeschool dads of America to know?
Oh boy.
No pressure.
One chance.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would say memorable moments for me, it's really kind of an idea is that we have, again, it goes back to the flexibility, right? So what stands out to me is being able to celebrate birthdays with my kids in special ways, regardless of what day of the week it falls on or what month it's in. We always were able to do something special with our oldest, and then I'm definitely planning on doing something with our other child as well. Just being able to be intentional and always have something special to celebrate, and not being limited by different schedules is really stands out for me.
I love that. And just to piggyback on that, even vacations, all of it. It's only really concerning your schedule and what vacation you leave you can take. And I know you have a little bit of that with your dance school, but there's more freedom on that too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I think about homeschool experiences, I think of those. We're not at home.
Right.
They're
exactly.
outings. Yeah. I mean, you guys go out way more, while we're working, but we get to join you guys sometimes. And I think of our family trip to the Grand Canyon. Am I wearing? Oh, yeah, Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's perfect.
And most people would look back and think of it just as a family vacation, but as a parent, you're teaching. Everyone's homeschooling, whether they also do traditional school for most of the day. So there were wonderful educational opportunities, even just for the fact of them being in a new location, and obviously the geology of the Grand Canyon and all that. So, my fondest memories are actually outside of our home. Mm-hmm. And when, as far as just thoughts in general on homeschooling, thank you.
There's a fly.
You can get them over here. You can get them over here.
Just a constant fan.
Palm fan. Where was I going to go with that?
Sorry.
I was distracted by the flies and the palm fans.
Your most memorable events are usually outside of the home.
No. Just general thoughts on homeschooling, or I don't know, advice, although I'm still learning.
Exactly.
That is, we've talked a lot about, focusing on prioritizing what they're learning. In other words, going back to what I was talking about, one of the concerns is that we don't hit everything. Well, I think we're realizing increasingly that you don't necessarily have to hit everything, and so you focus on what are the most important things. So for our family, it's answering that question for them: why are they here in this world? Who created them? All that, and then just the character issue of how do they interact with family members, with other members of the community, their neighbors, and then down from there. And so I think that's really helpful once you think of it that way. Of once they're out of the home, what are the main things you want them to take with them? It's really those most important things. And so when I remind myself of that, it takes some of those concerns away of, but did they do page 56 of math? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's been such a wonderful journey for us, and I know for you guys as well. Mm-hmm. And we just love it, and the amount of family time we get, and the amount of time that, they get with their dad is incredible. And I just love that so much, and I just feel super thankful that our husbands work so hard to give us this freedom to be able to homeschool, and that they're on the same page as us, which is also like a huge blessing, and makes it and just makes it way easier. It's a family decision, it's a couple's decision, it's a partnership. Like you were mentioning, Jake, my partner, you know, we are partners in this, and it's something we're doing together, and I just love doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, even while, you know, obviously Marcus and I go to an office every day, I'm actually really thankful that you are there with our children to really be the most influential person in their life to help educate them. And so I always tell Jessie how thankful I am for her taking up the homeschool lead, really, while I'm able to support her.
Absolutely.
I love that.
We hit the jackpot.
Jackpot.
We all did. It's so great. And
Oh, boy.
yeah.
All right, so is there anything else we wanted them to say?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They're off the hook now.
They set down their scripts,
Yes.
saying how wonderful we are.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, thank you so much for being on with us, and it was really
Big
fun
fans.
to have you here.
Huge fans.
Yes. Big fans.
Huge fans of the show.
You fall asleep listening to it at night too, right?
Well, I fall asleep to it.
I don't know.
Hey now.
You're talking. I don't know if it's in my earbuds or next to me, but you're always talking. That much I know.
Well, all right then.
All right, well, that's it for this bonus special episode with the spouses.
Thanks.
Place out.